Hey friends, Katie here. I'm dropping in to let you know that for the month of May, we're doing something a little bit different on our regular feed. Instead of reviewing books that you know and love, we'll be posting an interview in 2 parts. Liz and I have been doing this podcast for over a year now, and we figured that it's long past time to tell you a little bit more about us. We hope you enjoy the conversation, but if you're still craving our regular content, head over to Patreon, where we'll be releasing our final 2 episodes of Iron Flame. Now, on to the show. We'll get into the second part of our interview, which is all about our reading. So, why don't you kick us off and tell us how you fell in love with reading?
I was thinking about that and I don't remember. I feel like I was always a bookworm. Like I was always a reader. Like when I was a kid, well, I don't have a lot of memories as a kid, but I do remember that like books were like my reinforcer. Like you do this and then you get books, or like time to read. So I don't know. I do know that after like my master's degree, I stopped reading for a long time because I was tired of academic reading, as I'm sure all students out there know. And we've mentioned this on this podcast, but really getting back into reading was like ACOTAR and the entry back into more of like the fantasy and the romance and the stuff that I like. I don't know. I feel like I don't have a good answer to that. I was trying to think about it, but like I don't know. I've just always loved it.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same because like my mom would read to me when I was younger, like every night. And I think the escapism of some of those books, like that's the side of Pisces that I do resonate with like the very creative like brain space.
Yes.
But yeah, similarly, like I fell off reading for so many years after really in college and in my master's, and then like when I was dating James and even like past when we got married, like probably a good 12 years of my life I didn't read a lot. And I think part of that had to do with kind of what you were talking about with being burnt out on academic reading.
Yeah.
But I also, for some reason, got it in my head that if I was going to spend time on something as superfluous as reading, then I should at least be edifying myself in some ways. And so I like made this rule that I had to be reading like nonfiction, which is just so bizarre.
Don't do that to yourself.
No, and like that's not fun.
No.
So,
it's not. I mean, there's some good nonfiction, but like as a rule, I would just not read. I'd rather just not read.
Yeah, and then it's like, okay, well, especially because it puts you into this mindset of like, okay, your day job, you're like putting yourself out there and like expending energy and like learning to some extent, and then like in your free time, reading nonfiction for me is not a play thing. Like that's not me having fun.
No.
So I just didn't have the bandwidth to like do that 100% of the time, turns out.
Shocking.
Yeah, I know. But then like, yeah, reading ACOTAR for the first time, which Des actually recommended to me. And then rediscovering why fiction is so fun.
Yeah. And rediscovering, you mentioned the escapism. Like nonfiction doesn't give you that escapism. So rediscovering that.
Right.
I feel like was huge for me also.
Yeah. And it's been like very... It has been another way to let myself play, and one that I had forgotten was something that I enjoyed so much.
Yeah.
I think like as a general rule, adults forget that play is very important.
We definitely do, because, or we don't forget, but we feel like, almost like you were touching on, like, it's like a waste of time.
Right.
Or it's
you have to be productive.
frivolous.
In doing your chores or whatever.
Yeah. Like you're not being responsible if you're playing.
Yes. Yes. You're wasting your time.
Yes. Which I think leads to a lot of the burnout, and we just don't look at that part of it. We just like blame our jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I tell my team all the time, like, you need to have interests outside of work that are not productive.
Yes. Do something frivolous.
Right. Not learning, not like working on your fitness, like do things that are fun because they are fun.
Yeah, just because they make you feel good.
Right. Like go-karting.
Yeah.
Or golfing or whatever.
Yeah. Just like do whatever you want.
I said golfing. I meant mini golfing.
Okay, I was like, ooh, golfing is hard.
I just really like mini golf a lot.
I love mini golf so much. Or like
Yeah.
bowling. I like bowling.
I like bowling too. Oh my God. Whenever my uncle from Wisconsin comes to visit us, he likes bowling. So we go bowling. It's the best.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. We should go bowling. I love bowling.
I do too.
It's like
I'm
something I don't
terrible at it.
think good. Oh yeah, me too. It's fine. But I think that's part of it. Like do things you're bad at and like be okay with
Right.
being bad at it.
Yeah. Have fun in being bad at something.
Yeah. We deserve that. All right. So on the realm of reading, getting more specifics, what are your favorite tropes?
Yeah. So I am sticking to the tropes of like the romantasy side of things, which is primarily what we cover on this podcast. And I have two. One of them is the damsel in distress, which like just gets me every fucking time.
Yes. Yes.
As much of a feminist as I am, like it just leaves my body whenever I'm reading a book where that happens.
Listen, I think that that's why, though, because we function in such a society where we have to be like, I'm a strong, independent woman. I'm a feminist. I don't
need help.
It's nice to be like, maybe I do need help.
Yeah. Well, and I think I've talked about this in one of our other episodes before, but like there's a particular type of trauma that like manifests in you trying to or you feeling secure in the knowledge that if you were like physically hurt, that's a good thing because nobody can second guess the fact that your arm is broken.
Yes.
But somebody can second guess the fact that you're sad, right?
Yes.
So
I can
like
brush that off.
the physicality of a damsel in distress, particularly, I'm like here for.
Oh, yes. No.
Trauma.
It's all trauma.
Yeah. The second trope that I really like is when he falls first and falls hard.
That's on my list too.
Yeah. It's just so good. And like you spend most of the book thinking otherwise, and then like at the end it's revealed, because I feel like that provides you with such like a swoon moment.
Yes.
But also like you can go back and read the book with that perspective, and it's just chef's kiss.
Exactly. It's that like rereadability of it. Just it's so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Okay, so you had he falls first and falls hard. What other tropes are your favorites?
The other one that I am just a sucker for every time is the like forbidden romance for whatever reason, unless it's like
Yeah.
something gross like children. But like when we read Priest, like
Oh my God, yeah.
and to some extent like enemies to lovers, but in the realm of like you're not allowed, like almost like a Romeo and Juliet, like you're not allowed to be together.
Right.
That forbidden romance of it, like it just adds like such a layer of drama, which like I know we don't need, but like I want it.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Makes me I just really like it.
Gets me down in my toesies. It's great.
It does. And then such like a basic trope that I really love is the like forced sharing a bed. Like, oh no, we're at
Oh
this
my
inn
God.
and they only have one bed. I love a one bed trope.
I know. It's so bad, but it's so good.
It's so basic, but like, it hits almost
I
every
know.
time. Because we've read books where like there's a one bed and they don't share the bed, and I get angry.
I do too. Like, what are you doing? I thought that's what we were all signed up for.
Right, like get in the bed.
Get in the bed, damn it.
Why are you not in the bed?
I think that also ties into we could not go through this question and not mention the who hurt you trope, which again,
That's
so overplayed, so simple, hits every time.
I think that to me is like in the damsel in distress sort of the like who hurt you, I'd burn the world for
Right.
you, like
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
so good. It's so good.
It's so good.
This is a trope that like we've talked about a lot, and it's just when it pops up it's great. Whenever we read the reverse harems and one is a chef, you gotta have the one that's a chef.
Yep. Yeah, you gotta have the one that cooks for everybody.
It just makes me so happy.
He's like the Mr. Mom of the reverse harem.
Yes, because there's
Yeah.
always one of them. It's great.
I also like, and this is the specific to the reverse harem, like the reverse harems that I like the best all have that instant connection where they're like, oh my God, that's my person. And like all of the men understand this. And the woman is just like, this is weird.
Yes. Yes.
Like, she feels the tie, but she's not like, she doesn't accept it at face value, whereas all of the men are just like, yeah, I accept it at face value. Oh, you too? Cool. Let's do this.
Let's go. I do love that.
Yeah. No follow-up questions.
No follow-up questions.
Big golden retriever energy.
I love the golden retriever energy.
All right, so those were our favorite tropes. What's your least favorite tropes?
I fucking hate fated mates. Okay, so
at this point, yeah.
There are a lot of books I like that have fated mates in them. And I think when it's okay is when there's complication like around the fated mates. So for example, when we talk about ACOTAR and you have like Rhys and Farah, like they have complication around it. Or in High Mountain Court, what's that one? Mm-hmm. Yes, in the second one. Where like they're meant to be together, but there's still a lot of their own like trauma they have to work through. I hate the fated mates where it's like we're meant to be together, so nothing else matters. So like we'll never have problems again. We don't even have to get to know each other. Like
we won't ever disagree.
I hate that. I hate it because it's always used in a way where like they have problems and now the problems are just forgotten.
Right. Yeah, it's a completely unrelatable set of circumstances.
Yes. Ugh. I also struggle with the bullies to lovers if it's not handled gracefully. Like, we've read a couple where it works and it's okay, but we haven't done Zodiac Academy, but that's one where like it's not justified to me. Like they literally try to murder them.
Yeah.
And then we're together?
Right. And especially in that example, the time frame is just so short. Like Bullies to Lovers was also on my list, but like you have to let time pass, right? Like I'm not just going to forget that you tried to drown me in a frozen pool last week.
Right. And I think that's the thing with the Bullies to Lovers where it's the intensity of the bullying. So we read 8 to Rue and like they were bullies, but it was mostly just like teasing, like schoolyard bullying.
Right.
Not like I'm literally physically harming you.
Yes.
What?
Wow. Yeah. That's there's a spectrum.
There's a spectrum. Because like the Bullies to Lovers and Enemies to Lovers can definitely be like a Venn diagram. But you can't try to murder me and then a week later we're in love.
No, that doesn't work. No. It really doesn't work.
No. Those are my big ones. And you guys know by now that I hate a dream sequence, which isn't really a trope, but I just hate a dream sequence, so I had to throw it in there.
Yeah, look. Every time.
Every time. I hate them every time. What about you?
So I had bullies, like actual bullying to lovers.
Actual bullying.
Hate that. Immediately like lose the plot for me. Another one that I hate is a really poorly done miscommunication trope.
Oh, yes.
And I added the poorly done miscommunication trope because like to a certain extent, like he falls first and falls hard is a miscommunication trope because he's like, you know, it's that push pull of being in a relationship where you haven't like gotten on the same page that you care about each other yet. Yes. That's cool. But I'm talking about like Bridge Kingdom level of miscommunication tropes where like pertinent information that had you just talked about it would not be a problem. You didn't. And so now it's a core part of the plot of why things are going badly.
Mm-hmm.
And
Looking
I
at
can't
you,
handle that.
Game of Retribution.
Yeah, Game of Retribution is another good one. I mean, Lightlark, for example.
Just have a conversation. Like,
yeah, I can't stand that.
I hate that. I hate it so much.
And then the other, my final least favorite trope is like the misunderstood / I'm hideous / outcast main character.
God, I didn't even think about one. That one's the worst. I'm so ugly.
When you're clearly not.
No, like you have 9 men fighting over you. You're not hideous.
Right. Like either you have that in a reverse harem or you have it in like a book where it just doesn't have any other place because it's not like they're struggling with some kind of internal trauma and that's like a part of the book. It's just like, he's, you know, showing me attention and I have no idea why because I'm the most hideous person on the planet. And it's like, okay, what?
Which is ridiculous. And like, this is not a romance, but like, if you look at like Hermione, who is like awkward and like doesn't do the things. And then like now in Beautiful Butterfly, when I've actually tried, that's different. But like, if you have given me no proof that there's any issue, like you have no trauma, you've never been bullied for your looks, you just think you're hideous, get the fuck out of here.
Or I'm trying to think of an example of like, maybe it's not the looks, but it's like the misunderstood / outcast character. Oh, actually, here's a good one. Nesta.
Oh my God. Girl, you're fucking fine.
We haven't covered ACOTAR yet, but we will. And Nesta falls into that category for me.
Yes. Like, you are the
girl.
You are the cause of all your own problems.
Yes. Yeah, I think maybe that's really what it boils down to. Like the miscommunication and like this trope that we're talking about, you're the source of your own problems. Like this entire plot is based around the fact that you chose specifically to not deal with your problems.
Oh no, if it
and not in an interesting way, because that's what books are all about, right? But
right, like we of course have to have problems, like, and there are miscommunications that like truly happen in books. But yeah, if it can be handled with a simple conversation, or you are just convinced that you are the problem, like
right.
No.
And I think that like totally off base, like self-image thing, I think really is what distinguishes like young, not young, new adult from young adult, right? Mm-hmm. So like the young adult really like leans into that like totally off base, like personal image, whereas the new adult, it's like, no, I know who I am. I have other problems, right? Like
I have bigger fish to fry.
Right, exactly.
Just way more interesting as a character.
100%.
Yeah. Do you have a fictional best friend? Or would you?
Yeah, so when we were filling out these questions, we both struggled with the next several questions because it's like, I'm not that person that like thinks about that kind of thing. Like I liken it to like when we were younger and it was like NSYNC and Backstreet Boys, mm-hmm. and everybody would be like, okay, which one's your boyfriend? And I'm like, well, obviously none of them.
Right. Obviously, because I don't think I would actually like any of them.
Right. And also I'm never going to meet these people, so it doesn't matter. Yeah. So I struggled with that, but I ended up getting 2 fictional BFFs that I resonated with the most. Not necessarily that like I ever thought we would be friends. I don't know. That's an important distinction for me to make. I'm sorry.
No, it's fair.
But
yeah, no, that comes up in a later question too, where I'm like, oh, but in real life.
Yeah. So one of them is Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because she's snarky and she's got a lot of pride, obviously. And I resonate with that. And the second is Lady Deadlock from Bleak House.
Ooh.
So I love her because she is who I want to be when I grow up. Sans all of the emotional trauma.
Yes, remove the trauma.
Right.
Trauma. Oh my gosh, those are good answers.
What about you? Who are your fictional BFFs, quote unquote?
So I also really struggled with this. And before we started recording, Katie and I talked about whenever questions like this come up, it's like I've never read a book in my life. Like I couldn't 100%. Name a character. Like I got nothing.
I don't know how to read. Why are you asking?
Why are you asking? So the one that I thought of, which really I think comes into the next question, but I'm going to put it here. It's a character named Thursday Next, and she's from the author's name is Jasper Fforde. Have you ever read any of the Thursday Next books? I think you would like them. So they're very... So she is I haven't read them in a long time, but from what I remember, she's basically like a detective, but she's like a literary detective. So she's sort of like the line between like reality and literature blurs. So she'll go into like Jane Eyre and like solve issues, like solve mysteries in that world.
Cool.
But it's very like meta. So like it references itself. It's like very big, like twist and turn. And I just think that she would be fun to like hear her stories and like talk to her.
Yeah.
I think you would like the Thursday Next books. But my other one, just because again, I think I just want to like, I want her to give me advice and I just want to hang out with her, is the Dust Wife from Nettle and Bone.
Yes. Oh, that's a good choice. I love that.
Like she just seems like she would be a delight.
Yeah. She's like the aunt I want to go over like on a weekly basis and like have tea with.
Exactly. Yeah. Like, so maybe not BFF, but like I want to just talk to you once a week and just
Right.
have you, like, she doesn't hold any punches. Like,
She has a demon chicken.
she has
That's
a demon chicken. That's fucking awesome. So yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so fictional BFF or otherwise, what fictional character would be the most exciting, or who would be the most exciting to spend a day with?
So Thursday Next is still one of my answers there, but I really just have like a T Kingfisher like hard on right now, I guess.
Yep.
Because I just read What Moves the Dead, which is by T Kingfisher, who wrote Nettle and Bone. And the main character in that book, her name is Alex Easton. And she just has such a like dry and witty sense of humor, but she's also like a soldier and she's a scientist and like she solves all these things. And I just think that she would be so fun to like follow around for a day.
Nice.
Yes.
Yeah, I like that.
What about you?
Very cool.
Who would you spend a day with?
Yeah, I struggled with this one because I immediately had like 5 follow-up questions. Like,
Right.
am
Like,
I an active participant or am I just watching this person?
yes.
Do I get to pick the day, the type of day? Like,
It's like a regular day.
Yeah, this is not the question for me. I'm so sorry. I'm not that human. But I did say I'm going to go with Hermione in like the start of the year in book 4 or 5.
Ooh, that's a good one. Okay.
Because I feel like things were like the start of the year, shit hasn't hit the fan.
Shit's okay.
I feel like I would learn so much like waltzing around Hogwarts with her.
Yes.
I would also want to be that age. So I'm not like, 30-year-old me.
It's like following around like 15-year-old Hermione.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I want to be like a classmate.
Right.
Yes.
So this is why I'm not good at this kind of thing.
No, there's too many questions, and both of us are very like, okay, but realistically,
Right. So speaking of realistically,
who's your fictional love interest? Which this is
gag.
it's such a hard fucking question. It's such a hard question.
I just loved before we started recording, I was like, okay, I have the strong, intellectual, charismatic types, a la, and you were like Draco Malfoy, obviously. And I was like, oh yeah.
That was my first answer. It's really my only answer. I like struggle to have a second one, but it's Draco Malfoy. It's Draco Malfoy.
Yeah, straight up. I mean, big Hermione fans over here, or
Yes.
Hermione fans. Sorry if I said it wrong.
I don't know how to say that. It's a terrible mashup.
Yeah, and I know he was an asshole in the books, but we wouldn't have that problem because we were Slytherins, so.
Right. We wouldn't have that problem. And also, I have not read an iteration. Take that from top. I have not read an iteration of Draco that I wasn't attracted to. So, like,
Yeah.
any way he could go, I'd be like, okay.
Okay, yeah, we'd at least be friends. Hopefully more than that.
Hopefully more than that. Ugh.
And then my second one was I really tried to find somebody from the type of genre that we cover on this podcast. And ultimately, like, as much as these characters are swoon-worthy to read about, for me in particular, not so much. But I landed on Tarquin from, I think, A Court of Mist and Fury.
Yes, the Sun Court King.
Yeah. And for a couple of reasons. One, he's much less moody than like Rysand.
Yes.
And he just seemed a little bit more fun-loving, but while also being more intelligent, on the more intelligent side. Not that he's more intelligent than like Rysand, but he is a good leader. He seems to like rely on others. He has good characteristics that I think I would gel with.
I could see that for you. I could see that.
Who's your other one?
I could not find his name fast enough, but I didn't even write it down. Who was the Shadow Weaver in the book that was sort of like Pokemon?
Oh,
I can't remember the name of that book.
fuck, what is that book called?
I don't know. I was trying to go through my Goodreads, and I couldn't.
It's Kingdom of Exiles,
Kingdom of Exiles. That love interest.
and his name is Knock.
Knock.
Good choice.
Yeah, he popped into my head, and I was just like, I feel like he had a level of emotional intelligence. He had his own background, which made him interesting. I still think he's a king or a prince.
Well, he's just a big gummy bear, right? Like, he's
just
supposed to be a shadow assassin, but he's like really nice guy.
Yeah, and he's interesting.
Boy Scouts of America.
Yes, and that's just like the polar opposite of Draco Malfoy. Yeah, I'll take one of those, please.
Yeah. It's either black cat energy or golden retriever energy. There's no in between.
There is no in between. There is no in between. And if I could have both, that would really be ideal.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so what are you reading right now that's not for the podcast, or what have you read lately?
So I've mentioned this on the pod before, but besides what we read for the podcast, I'm a really big horror fan. I read a lot of horror. And I've been on an Anya Alborn kick. She has so many books. The one I'm reading right now is called Seed. I'm only a couple chapters in, so I can't really speak to it. But I finished one by her called The Shuddering, and it was so scary. It was so very scary. I think I've read like 4 or 5 of her books, and I've liked all of them except for one, and the one I didn't like was just because it was fucking traumatic. Like, it was well written. It was an amazing story. It just upset me like deeply.
I am pupset.
So, if you want to be pupset, that book's name is Brother by Anya Alborn. But yeah, I'm reading Seed right now. It seems to be about like some family curse, demon energy situation. So, yeah.
Nice.
What about you?
Very nice. So after just going on a diatribe about reading fiction versus nonfiction, I'm reading a lot of nonfiction right now.
By choice, it's fine.
Yes, by choice. I'm not forcing myself to read this, but it's in 2 specific categories. So the first one is baby books. So obviously, I'm expecting. I'm an only child. My husband's an only child. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how babies work. I don't even know what kind of shit you need for a baby. So like, we need help.
So go to the library. A la Hermione.
Yes, exactly. So go to the library, pick up baby books. And there's an economist named Emily Oster who was in the same boat, right? And so when she got pregnant with her first child, she started diving into like the actual scientific literature about like what to expect when you are pregnant and going to give birth, and then for your child's young life.
Wow.
And she wrote these 2 books, Expecting Better and Crib Sheet. And both of them go into like just different topics relating to pregnancy, childbirth, and young child development. And she goes into the science, and then she tells you, this is what I decided to do based on this information. You can decide to do whatever else. And she just adds all the footnotes for all of the studies that she goes through. And it's very, very helpful. So that is one area. And then the other area is writing books or the craft of writing, specifically Save the Cat by Jessica Brody, helping me understand for my novel in progress, what the fuck am I doing here?
I bought that book and I've not started it yet, but based on your recommendation, I'm very excited.
It's very easy. I like both of these authors write very approachably, and I think that's something that a lot of nonfiction lacks. It's more conversational than it is like detached third person style. And I think that's why it makes them digestible for me.
Yes, that is a big thing. So to go on a quick like nonfiction diatribe, there is nonfiction that is really fun to read. One of my favorite authors is Mary Roach.
Yes, I love her.
Yes. So each of her books covers a topic. So Stiff is about like what happens to bodies after they die, like cadavers and organ donation. Spook about the afterlife. I just finished, well, not just, maybe like in the last 3 months, Gulp, which is all about like your digestive tract, which sounds so boring, but she is such a funny writer and she does such like weird experiments to write, and it's conversational. It's fun.
Yeah. Well, and it's almost like specifically for her, and it's for the baby books with Emily Oster, it's the same thing. Like, you're going on this journey with them.
Exactly.
Like, both of them have this ability to be like vulnerable and be like, I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, so let's go talk to somebody who does.
Exactly, which I respect, because a lot of times nonfiction, it's like reading a term paper, and I'm like, I know you know what you're talking about. I get it. Shut up.
Right. I don't want a 5-paragraph essay format over 300 pages. Thank you so much.
No.
Yeah.
You would find an economist for baby. When you said that, I was like, of course she would.
Well, because it's like, I mean, we've talked about this obviously outside of the podcast, but like there are so many things about being pregnant and having kids where people have like a bunch of feelings, right? And I am not a feelings person. Like unless you've got facts to back it up, miss me with that, my friend. Like, I don't care.
Don't care. I don't want to know about your dumb feelings.
Right. But it's also the thing that, like, you know, pregnancy and childbirth and like female health in general is so understudied compared to like male health that the idea of getting pregnant and like what to expect, there is some science around it, obviously, but there's also this big question of like, you might have a terrible time and we can't tell you why.
Yep. For more on that,
that's terrifying.
Read Invisible Women by whoever that author is.
Invisible Women is such a good book. It's
a harder one to read. It's not conversational.
It's a hard read. Yeah.
It's hard for many reasons because it's also deeply upsetting.
But to that point, I think it was Sweden started mandating the use of female crash test dummies for vehicles.
Yes.
Like recently.
Yes, because we have different biology.
That's a win.
It is a win.
Anyway, let's get into moments of zen. So this is part 3 of our interview.
Moments of zen. What songs are you listening to on repeat right now?
Okay, so I didn't do songs because I just frankly don't listen to music a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to music in very specific areas of my life. Like I used to listen when I would like drive into the office all the time, but now that's usually when I listen to like podcasts or something.
Same.
And I can't listen to music like while I'm working.
Nope.
Mostly. So I'll listen to music while I'm working that doesn't have words. So that's when I listen to like chill hop kind of things, like lo-fi girl, lo-fi boy, love that. Yeah. That stuff. And then another area where I'll listen to music is like when I'm cooking. So like when James and I are like meal prepping or we're making like pancakes on a Sunday or just like something that's going to take a minute and we're going to like have a glass of wine or have a coffee and like really enjoy the process, we'll put music on. And that's typically like bossa nova, which is like Stan Getz kind of adjacent stuff. Or there's this YouTube channel called My Analog Journal, which is essentially curated like vinyl record playlists. They'll have cool. like, yeah, they'll bring like on different DJs from the internet / radio, I don't know, but from all over the world. So they'll have like genres like Turkish disco or Greek jazz or like underground like alt punk from the UK. Or like Japanese city pop. Really fucking love Japanese city pop. And that's really cool because then it's also like you get to see them switching the vinyls and they're usually in a room full of plants, which is just aesthetically pleasing for me. And you're introduced to a lot of shit that you would never listen to otherwise.
I just looked it up because I was like, I need to experience this. And this just sounds so cool.
It's very pleasing to me.
Yeah, like
I really enjoy it.
Hawaiian grooves, percussive dub, spiritual jazz, and psychedelic grooves. Afro-Cuban funky. Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, so if you're looking for like a really easy way to expand your knowledge of music types and genres, check that out because it's fucking wild.
That is brilliant. Okay, I love that.
And then the only other way that I would listen to music on a regular basis is like when I'm working out. And typically, again, I'm listening to podcasts. So
yeah, I also primarily just listen to podcasts.
Yeah.
I will listen to like Spotify, like the playlists I've made. Primarily, I really only listen to them now when I'm in the shower or if I'm in like a particular mood for a particular song. Like,
yeah,
I do have like playlists curated to like books that I intend to write, or I have a playlist called like crying songs in case I'm in my feels.
Yeah.
The playlist that when I looked up like my on repeat on Spotify is called I Forgot I Was a Bad Bitch because that's what I named it.
Oh, I love it.
But my top 3 songs are Good Kisser by like Short Drive, which is like, if you're gonna tell him anything, tell him I'm a good kisser.
Nice.
Everything Sucks, which I definitely got off of TikTok because I find most of my music on TikTok. So it's that sound that's like, everything sucks. Just kidding. Everything is great. No, really. And then the third one, which just I felt called out, is Olivia Rodrigo, the Bad Idea, right? So
yeah.
about like going to see someone you're not supposed to be seeing.
Wow, Spotify really has your number, huh?
Yeah, and then the fourth one I just had to add on there. It's the only song I know by her, but her name is Lauren Weintraub. But the song is called "It's Not Like I'm in Love with You."
I love that.
So Spotify needs to shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Spotify needs to give you some space, girl.
I know. So that's that. But I too can't listen to music with words if I'm like working or writing. So very much the like lo-fi girl, lo-fi boy. For a long time, I would do like Harry Potter or Disney instrumentals.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, because those are really fun. Because like I can hear the words in my head, but I'm not distracted
They're
by
not
them.
actively distracting you.
Yes. I don't understand how people can listen to music with words or like have the TV on or like listen to a podcast like while they're working. Like I can't.
I can't do that. Yeah, even before I was pregnant, I've lost my ability to multitask, period. Now, but even before, like I can multitask, but I can't do when I'm supposed to be listening to something, and if something's like if words are being said to me, I my response is I need to listen to them.
Yes.
So like it's not just music, but if like somebody walks up to me and starts talking to me, I will not hear what they say unless I'm focusing on them.
Yes, 100%. Like that makes me irrationally angry if I'm clearly reading and someone comes up to talk to me because like I can't do both.
Right.
So like stop talking to me or give me a minute.
And it's typically like, no, they don't ask, hey, are you busy or do you have a second?
No, they just start talking.
They just launch into it.
Yeah. I am busy.
Add that to the pet peeves list.
Yes. It goes with the interruption though, I think too. Like you're interrupting me.
Oh, 100%. Yes. So given that we're both self-admittedly listening to podcasts, what are you listening to podcast wise?
I've been on a really big and long Morbid kick. I love Morbid. And I tend to do this thing with podcasts where like I'm not great at jumping around with podcasts. Like I will find a podcast I like and I will listen to everything they've ever done and then I'll move on. But Morbid and Last Podcast on the Left, I really enjoy. I also found a podcast through the Morbid Network called Obituary. But it's bitch, like bitch, wary. And they read obituaries that are like real sassy.
Amazing.
Like really passive aggressive obituaries or obituaries that tell like wild stories in them.
Nice.
And that one's really fun.
That sounds amazing.
I highly recommend it. The hosts are really funny and it's just like, man, the things people say.
Oof, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What about you?
I primarily listen to Crime Junkies and True Crime Obsessed.
I love Crime Junkie so much.
I know.
That's one that I also like binged and then I ran out of episodes, so then I like dropped off. So I need to go back.
Yeah, I used to listen to a lot more like true crime type podcasts, but I really fell off of them for one reason or another. But Crime Junkies and True Crime Obsessed I've stuck with because I just like the format. They're typically under like 60 minutes or definitely under 2 hours. And they're just, I like the format and the personalities. Yes. But, you know, sometimes I'll run out of those quickly. So I have started recently getting back into some tried and true podcasts that I started listening to like when like James and I started dating like almost 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So like Radiolab, Planet Money, and
Radiolab.
Freakonomics.
Those are so good.
And those are the ones that like sometimes they'll talk about stuff that I just am not interested in, but sometimes they'll talk about stuff that's like really interesting. Like Planet Money recently had an episode about the mysterious sinking Spanish galleons from like the 1800s or something like that. And that was just really fascinating. So now I know a lot about that I didn't before.
That makes me think of, I saw this thing on TikTok or Instagram where it was like, do you remember being in high school or college and learning things like, I'm never going to need to know about this. And then now spends 4 hours learning about the communication skills of dolphins. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Like, I don't need to know, but it's fascinating.
Yeah. I don't need to know, but I like the way that all three of those tell stories. So if I'm interested in the story content, then I will listen to those.
Yes.
And that's really what like Crime Junkies and True Crime Obsessed are about. They tell the story more so,
Yes.
which I appreciate.
Which I do like. Are those all NPR or just This American Life?
I think Freakonomics is independent. Radiolab, I think, is NPR. I'm not sure about Planet Money.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Radiolab made me think about it because I really like This American Life.
I like This American Life too. I'll reserve that typically for like if James and I are driving a long distance.
Yeah.
Because they're longer format.
They are longer. I remember listening to one about like mall Santas, and it was just so interesting.
Yeah.
Love a good podcast. What parts of TikTok are you on? This is always wild. I feel like this is a fun question like every 3 months because it changes.
It does. So I was on several sides of TikTok, but now I'm on kind of more of a curated list, which I like more. So I'm on skincare TikTok more recently, which is great.
Send me some of those, please.
I will. I'm on cooking TikTok. I'm on Germani TikTok.
As you should be.
I'm on interior design TikTok. And I'm also on like just this general femme empowerment vibes TikTok. I don't know if that's like an actual genre, but like I am. And then I'm on like some random ones. So I'm on Chinese Get Ready With Me TikTok for some reason. I have no idea how I ended up here, but it is wild.
Oh my gosh. Sounds amazing.
And then TikTok, I guess, knows who I am because I'm on like responsible/gentle parenting TikTok, which is, I guess, helpful. And then the most random one from my perspective is I'm on modern swing dancing TikTok.
Oh my God, but those are amazing where they have like the random pairings of people.
Yes.
I'm on that one too. It's fascinating. Like, I don't know how they do it.
Fab.
Oh, they're so amazing. They're so
It
amazing.
inspires me to want to take dance lessons like after I'm not pregnant.
Yes. No, that's also on my list because it's just like, it's so interesting. I don't know where it came from.
That's so weird that we're both on that side of TikTok. So, okay, so what else are you on?
Okay, so I weirdly got on this like male fashion TikTok. There's a TikToker specifically. His tag is Parker York Smith, and he'll get, I assume dudes will submit requests. Like the one I saw recently was like, "Hey, I'm planning my wedding. Can you show me what light blue and like ox blood look like together, like as like a tux?" And this guy's closet is like everything. So like he'll make an outfit and he'll be like, "This is how it works. Like this is what I would do." And it's just like really nice.
Nice.
Yeah.
I love that there's a side of TikTok where dudes are talking about fashion with each other.
Me too. And I mean, I don't know his sexual orientation, but like he just seems like a regular guy. Like he's not.
He's straight presenting.
Yeah, that's a good way to say it. Which is nice because I feel like other straight presented guys are just genuinely asking for like, what do I wear with this?
Advice like, hey, you care what you look like? Great, you should.
Yeah. I have a lot of, I didn't know what to call them. I called them like small stories, but where they're like little segments of like fictional stories that people will do where like, it's just like the one TikToker, but like they'll do a whole like plot or story or whatever. So there's one TikToker I follow. Her name is Jessica Cayley, and she does a lot of like fantasy fiction. So like it'll give you a little blurb. So like you live in a world where on your 16th birthday, you're like marked with a color that says if you're hunter or prey. And then like she'll go through the story about like her having like a third color that's like unknown, but like you just have like her perspective. And it's cool. They're just really interestingly done. Some of the like, I'm on the cooking TikTok because I have so many TikToks saved of food I want to make that I forget that I save and I never go back.
Yeah.
But the random parts of TikTok, I am on etymology TikTok. So I have a lot of like the etymology of certain words or
fascinating.
like grammatical TikTok. So you know the thing that girls do. I know my mom used to make fun of me all the time for doing it, but especially teenagers, where it'd be like the no, that like extra syllable at the end. So that's called a pedagogue, and it's a real thing, and it's related to, of course, it's a real thing, but it's compulsive, so it's not particularly. It's young girls who say it. They're not doing it intentionally. It's really like an emphasis of something, so it's kind of like adding an exclamation point, but they're not aware of them doing it, which is what makes it so like annoying.
Yeah.
But so yeah, I have a lot of weird etymology. Like, this is what this word means.
That's fascinating.
It's so fascinating. And then a lot of miniatures. Like, there's the people who do the they're called the Miniverse, and they're like these little balls, and it's like food or whatever, and it's like resin, and you like build the thing. Or TikTokers, when we get to like certain TikTokers that we follow that just like make miniature like doll houses or rooms or things like that. I love miniatures. Love miniatures.
That is something where you and I differ because I am not a miniatures person.
No, you're not. I do have a request. If you ever get like a chocolate box, particularly, so you know how like some chocolate boxes, they have like the cardboard divided squares instead of just little cups. If you ever find one of those, keep it for me.
Okay.
Because
got it.
There's this TikToker that I follow who has a bunch of those, and she makes like different collections of things. So she made one, and it could be, I could make that myself, but she does it in chocolate boxes, where she does like things from movies. So like it was like the Scream mask, or like a fossil from Jurassic Park, and just like little collections of like miniatures that she made.
Yeah.
And I want to do
cute.
that. You know?
That's so up your alley. Like, I can see you in a future state, like tenured professor, and you just have like 3 very esoteric miniature collections on your walls.
Yes, there's just like weird, like little bones and stuff. Like,
yeah,
that's
I
my
could see
jam.
that.
That's who I am.
Okay, so speaking of random TikToks, what are some of your favorite random TikTok accounts that you follow?
So my favorite miniaturist, her name is Ashley Vortman, and I like her, 1, because of the miniatures, and 2, because all of her miniatures are spooky. So she'll make like the one I saw recently, she found this, it's like a claw machine that you could get on Amazon. So it's little, it's just like a little claw machine. But in there, she built like a haunted like pizza parlor, like a haunted Chuck E. Cheese.
Oh my God.
And like, it's just so fun. Like, she just does weird shit like that. There's a TikToker.
It's so whimsical.
It's so whimsical. There is a TikToker. I could not find her name when I was looking for this. I haven't seen anything by her in a while, but she's building this dollhouse, and she's like writing a whole book to go along with like all the secrets and stories in the dollhouse.
Cool.
And like in the dollhouse, there's all these like hidden things that she'll show that are like hints to the stories. So like in the desk, there's like tiny little like love notes and letters, or like handprints places, and like ghosty things. And I can't find her name. But it's amazing. And when she pops back up, I'll send it to you, because like just her like story planning is just incredible. The last random one that I really like, it's called Creepy Dave. And contrary to popular belief, what you might think, it's not creepy, it's not horror. He does like voiceovers about animals. But he does this like stupid voice when he'll explain animals. Like he like never pronounces the names right. So like he does one on pugs, and he calls them like purgs. And he's like, purgs look like they came out and slammed right into a wall because their face is so squished. Like, it's just like these weird...
I think I've seen him.
Yeah! I just love those videos so much.
I think I recently showed James one. So Yogi, my dog, is German Shepherd mix. And I think I showed James that guy, Creepy Dave, his one on German Shepherds. And he said something like... they look like you tried to make a dog using only triangles.
Yes! that sounds like it would be him.
So funny.
It's just so funny, because everything he says is true.
Yes, it is.
It's so accurate. What about you? What are some fave rando accounts?
So I have 4, and they're all on like very different directions.
I love that though.
So the first one is this account called The Lipstick Lesbians. And I am not a makeup person, but the primary like partner in this, I think, works in the makeup industry, and she's incredibly knowledgeable. So like their account is they go to primarily Sephora and they just talk about the products on the shelves. And I have learned so fucking much. Like the fact that when you buy like an eyeliner pencil, if it clicks when you put the cap on and off, that means that it is like airtight sealed, which means that the components of that stick are more volatile, which means like sensitive to temperature. So they will typically adhere better and wear better throughout the day than a traditional like wooden style pencil. And I was like, nobody ever taught you this shit. Where is that information? That would be incredibly easy, like valuable to know when I'm shopping for like eyeliner pencils.
Yeah, because like I'm not a huge makeup girly either, but like I do wear makeup, and that's
right.
I'm gonna follow them. I just wrote them down because that sounds. Yeah, who's there to tell you that?
Right. So she's awesome. Also, she has this incredible New York accent that I just love. The second one is this person called Canadian Kells, and she blew up on TikTok because she's got this habit of tracking MLMs on spreadsheets specific to people that she went to high school with.
Oh my God.
And like cross-referencing like different MLMs with like, you know, fundy Christians or like fitness or like, you know, body positivity or like whatever. And just like really fucking esoteric spreadsheet stuff. And I love it.
I love data, and I really love useless data.
Yes.
When it's so detailed. Oh my God, I love that.
So number 3 is this person called JB Ninja Boy. And there's nothing edifying about his account. He's just some kind of gymnast. I want to say like a college-age gymnast. But he'll frequently dress up in a squirrel onesie and start his videos by running out of a door into this big gymnasium and saying, "I'm a squirrel," and then like jumping off like some really high place into like a foam pit or something.
Oh my God.
It's just really stupid.
I love that so much.
And then the fourth one is it's called the Tech Roast Show, but it's really specific to the industry that I work in, and I'm enjoying it while I can because it's just them pulling up. They have a comedy show like in California, and they put most of it on TikTok, and it's like they pull audience members from the audience that work at like Amazon and Facebook and Google, and they just roast the fuck out of them.
Oh my God.
And it's so funny.
That's
it's so fucking funny.
I wish I could be one of those people that could just like make my living off of making fun of people.
Yeah.
In a clever way. We can't finish talking about TikTok or this without talking about book talk. So,
yes.
Whose book talk opinions do you trust?
I have 3. Because I have somebody called A Happy Hermit on here. She's like the ACOTAR conspiracy theorist. She's like, she'll frequently have like a whiteboard and a spatula that she's like,
I love her.
Yeah, I love her too. I'm not sure if I jive with her taste in books because she primarily talks about ACOTAR.
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's very interesting. So I'm going to take her off my list. So I have 3. Alistair Marie is one of them. She also frequently does like Feyre cosplay sometimes, but she's got like really big eyes and like long dark hair, and she has unhinged taste just like us.
Yes.
Like, she's the one who did the TikTok where it was like the stitched with, you know, the type of romance you read about is what you actually want in real life. She was like, nope, she's not talking to us. Because she recommends a lot of reverse harem shit.
Okay, I know exactly what you're talking about. I can picture her now. Like that. No, not talking to us.
No, she's not talking to us. She's not talking to us.
Not talking to us.
So I love her. And then Lauren's Little Library.
That's on my list too.
Oh my God, isn't she awesome?
She's so good. And I do feel like I trust her. And she gives really good, like, reasons why.
Yeah. I get the feeling, I don't know anything about her actually, but I really get a strong suspicion that she works in the industry somehow.
Like yeah.
Because she gets like a lot of books sent to her to like
the ARCs or whatever.
Yeah. But yeah, in her opinions are very like structured around like the structure of the book and the plot and the character development and things like that. And we have similar tastes. And then the final one is someone named Kate Loves Books. She's an Aussie, and she likes a lot of the same tropes. And sometimes we disagree on like specific books in particular, but like I've gotten a lot of recommendations for this podcast from her because she'll recommend things that don't necessarily always show up in like an American like TikTok list.
Yeah.
So those are my 3.
Well, I had Lauren's Little Library, so I'm gonna keep that. One that I haven't used for this podcast at all, but I love his recommendations. His name is Brandon Baker, and it's all horror recommendations. So like that's really, if I'm trying to look for a non-podcast book to read, like I look at his TikTok.
Nice.
He gives a lot of like he does a good job of giving you a synopsis of the books, like you know what you're getting into without any spoilers. But he also makes really helpful lists. So like short horror on Kindle Unlimited, or like ghost horror. Like he'll like, so like it's easy to look for what you want.
Nice.
And then my last one is Peruse with Jess. I think she is also an Aussie, or she's British. I'm gonna look because I don't want to
misnationalize.
That's it. Yes. So, but I've gotten a few recommendations for our podcast from her. And I just really like her style. I like how she explains things. I don't agree with everything she says, but she justifies things in a way that I respect. So nice. She's also from Australia. But she has a bunch of, she does like the romantasy that we do, but she also brings in like sci-fi and horror and like all the different things. And
very cool.
She's just funny. I like her.
Yeah. The humor part is definitely,
it's huge.
Has to be there.
It definitely has
all
to be
three
there.
of the ones that I had on my list were also funny.
Yes, because we need that.
Yeah. Yeah, so there you have it. There's a little bit more about both Liz and I hope you had a good time. We certainly had a good time recording this episode.
I had a great time. And I learned so many things about you that I didn't know before, which is funny because I've known you
did
for...
you really?
Well, I mean, maybe not so many things, but the sky fear.
The sky fear, yeah. That's
very interesting.
I learned things about you too. I didn't know you were into minis.
I love miniatures. Like a lot.
I mean, it makes sense thinking about it now, but like it just never occurred to me.
I love minis.
So yeah, anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, we'll see ya.
Bye.
Bye.